Muñoz, Nellie
Tell Mr.
Gorbea read it.
White to be careful with the sinkholes in Florida. You know, it's time to tax the rich in the state of Rhode Island. It's time to understand that the federal government, that's a cop-out, is never going to do that. We need to take a stand here in the state of Rhode Island. Governor Raimundo created a pass-through company tax credit that the rich are leveraging to get deductions on the federal income tax. We need to make sure that we combat that loophole that the rich have and get some of that $144 million back annually that can help us support affordable housing. The Secretary of State said that she helps businesses. Well, when the minority and woman-owned business contract requirements were waived by Governor Raimundo, she did not stand up or do anything. We have people at this stage that continue to say that they're fighting for Rhode Islanders, and they're fighting for themselves. And that's the problem with career politicians. They always fight for themselves. CVS is still a perpetrator of high-cost health care. We are in a pandemic. The governor has dismantled testing sites currently. He did not handle the vaccine equity issue correctly. We organized that in the community. We drove those clinics. And at the end of the day, Matt Brown wasn't there. Helena Folks was, thinking about running for governor and setting back on these minute clinic CVS models that did not work for the pandemic for us. And we're going into the fall where we continue to face a pandemic. I am the right candidate for the right office at the right time.
5 minutes till closing statements. And
1%
what, Nellie?
on whatever it doesn't.
Okay. Small businesses here. Micro businesses need exemptions on the tangible property tax. It's 1.4% in Newport, 5.5% in Providence. Poor people in the state of Rhode Island cannot get out of poverty because when they start businesses, they are taxed out of business.
And by the way,
those are the businesses we need to help.
Let me jump in on small. On the stage, you obviously don't know how to get it done. I do, and it's going to be a good project.
It's because of the communities that I come from are the ones that suffer from bad deals like that one. Like 38 Studios 2, which Helena Folks was actually in line of giving them more money. And the governor, at this point in time, in terms of the soccer stadium, fails to acknowledge that when you front money, when you promise the money up front, right, the project becomes too big to fail. It becomes too big to fail, and it's going to land on Pawtucket kids' heads.
Okay, Governor, he's entitled to answers. Okay, folks, please, just the audience. We got a bell here. Cool it. I'm trying.
Yeah, they really don't understand budgets, and if they did, they would know it'd be lower next year.
Dr. Muñoz.
Let's talk about budgets. Let's talk about budgets. $65 million for 514 full-time employees in DOH, $126 million for private companies. Public dollars siphoned off by private companies. Let's talk about the Department of Corrections, $277 million. Public safety, $168, but public defenders, $14 million. That's a value statement. We need to make sure that we're taking money out of corporations' pockets and putting it in Rhode Islanders' pockets through the services that can support healthcare, housing, and our criminal justice system, which is failing our kids.
Dr. Muñoz, 13.6.
There's been pandering on this stage about giving the school system back to Providence. No one talked about the education funding formula.
Who's pandering?
Matt is pandering.
A few months.
Matt is pandering. The education funding formula is the most inequitable thing that we have, which is putting our school systems behind. And the fact that it wasn't mentioned shows you that he won't fight.
We have a lot of topics to get to.
I'm the one who just said I would raise taxes on the rich and fund our schools.
And I said I'd raise taxes too, and I also said that I would transform the education funding formula because that is what's keeping students behind.
We took that business under my leadership from burning $1 billion a year in cash to cash flow neutral. That's exactly the kind of leadership.
Can we stop promoting CVS? So it took cigarettes off the shelves and pushed pills on the streets. It took cigarettes off the shelves and pushed pills on the streets. CVS is not an organization that we want to model in the state of Rhode Island. It is not. A multi-billion-dollar budget's fine, but the values that drive the allocation of resources is far more important. And this discussion about values and numbers.
All right, it's fair, Governor. Our final closer is from Dr. Muñoz. Look right at the camera. Go ahead.
Matt Brown took almost $10,000 from the Kidd family that has $69 million invested in Hess Corp. Just mind you that. I grew up in Central Falls. I experienced homelessness. I'm a medical doctor in this race in a time where we're facing a pandemic still. We need a free healthcare system. We need mixed, low-income, subsidized, and affordable housing. We need an equitable education funding formula. These things will not happen without political courage. I'll end my time with a story of Ellison Tarzan Brown, a person who ran barefoot until he won the marathon, Narragansett Indian tribal member. He died having sold every trophy for food because this state forgets about the working and the working poor. But when he climbed that mountain, they say a man rose up and an Indian nation descended. On September 13th, let the people vote Muñoz and let's descend in victory towards a better Rhode Island.
Thank you.